Welcome to episode 17 of 22 Man Game with Jared and Dame. I'm Jared. That's Dame. And it is 8:27 on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Thanksgiving just around the corner. Damon, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday?
I am doing all right. Thank you, Jared. It has been already a very busy week, and I assume it will get busier as time goes on. But the holiday break for us educators is important as we do not do a fall break, as I know a lot of places do. I kind of started when I later in my teaching career, but that beginning of the year stretch to Thanksgiving is tough. It's a tough stretch to really make it there. The last couple of weeks are dragging, and that's how I feel. So that's me. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I agree. Obviously, I'm not in as much of a traditional work environment now, and so I'm not as in the slog, but I feel like once you get past the fun of Halloween and like, oh, who's gonna do what costumes and let's decorate our rooms and stuff, and then you're like, oh, I've got 3 more weeks of this before I can actually be done. That's kind of when it gets hardest, in my opinion. But I've been doing well. Just got into Attack on Titan. Great show. Pretty early
Ah,
on, so
great
excited to have.
show.
Have you
Hmm.
seen it?
I have seen most of it. I don't know if great show is how I would describe it. I never
Wow,
finished it though, because it took them a billion years to come out with the last season.
not a
And
fan
I
though. It
watched.
sounds like pessimistic.
Yeah, a little pessimistic. I will say I have an Attack on Titan shirt of Captain Levi because that character is goated.
True. Matthew Mercer, great voice actor. Before we talk too much about Attack on Titan, I need to make my attack on how the Tennessee Titans are constructed with our wheel games. And before that, we want to hit some news. So let's start with some of the more difficult news of the week. It seems like, again, every week there's another piece of difficult
Every
news
week.
coming out of the league. It's consistent. And this week involves New York Jets corner Kris Boyd, who was shot in the abdomen outside of a restaurant around 2 a.m. on Sunday and is currently in critical condition. This was in New York City. He's currently out for the year with injury, but terrible to see any act of violence. Obviously, don't know the full situation, but hoping that he makes a full recovery in time. And terrible to hear about this.
Yeah, my understanding is there was a scuffle of some sort that led to this. It was not like a, you know, random act or anything, but still bad. I'm not saying he deserved it or anything, but there was some sort of thing that led up. But yeah, hope he makes a full recovery for sure.
Yeah, not fully aware personally of who instigated it, but regardless of who instigated, you never want to see it escalate to that level, and you never want to see someone's life in jeopardy. So, um, fortunately, being in critical condition, chance of recovery, right? That's the hope. Um, in other news, Browns quarterback Shadeur Sanders had his home broken into during the game on Sunday for the Browns and had approximately $200,000 of property stolen. And this continues a trend of NFL players being robbed during the course of the season when their teams are playing away games. And so they won't be able to, or just during games on Sundays, so they won't be able to guard their home during that time, obviously.
And he came in during this game and played during this game for like really the first time this season. So tough.
Yeah. Hopefully the property is recovered. I know there was an arrest on some of the people involved in these types of crimes, but not sure if this is a related group or a group that was inspired by the property theft that took place during games last season when this trend really kind of started kicking into gear. Last piece of league wide news to hit or off the field news to hit. NFL sent a memo to teams reemphasizing the league's stance on what types of wagers are permitted with the sportsbook partners of the sports league, specifically calling out specific prop bets being wagers on the individual performance of players in certain statistical categories over the course of a game, unless I'm mistaken, Damon.
Yeah, basically, X player is going to have this many receiving yards over or under. This player is going to have a touchdown, blah, blah, blah. Those are prop bets, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that some manner of prop betting can even circumvent some gambling laws. I feel like, for example, Underdog Sports is able to operate in states like Texas that
Hmm.
don't allow gambling, and I think a lot of their personal brand is the uh, over under styled games. So hopefully this will resolve into action because gambling has a very negative impact on many folks' lives. But without some sort of firm punishment mechanism, I'm skeptical that'll happen.
Yeah, that memo actually, when it got sent out, sponsored by FanDuel, believe it or not. So, you know.
That's yeah, they sent out the video of Goodell reading it. They had the FanDuel banner underneath.
Right.
Use code PropBet to get $100 if you place a $5 bet. Yeah, definitely that's a good one. Anyway, speaking of gambling, we do like to spin a wheel every week to see what teams' games we'll need to cover this
We
week.
gamble with our enjoyment of football every week.
And everything does not come up Millhouse for us. So, Damon, I'll let you start us off with your
Sure.
wheel team and game of the week.
Yeah, so my wheel team was the New York Giants, and they played the Packers. Kind of an unfortunate week to spend the Giants, to be honest with you. Quarterback Jackson Dart was out with a concussion, didn't play in this game. Obviously, Cam Scatterbo had that big injury a couple weeks ago. He was out, Malik Neighbors out for the year. So it's like, okay, their best players on offense are all out. That's not great. Their kicker, Graham Gano, is placed in IR for a herniated disc in his neck. That happened as well. I believe Kayvon Thibodeau missed this game. Dexter Lawrence kind of underperformed as he has all season. So it's not a great watch for the Giants. And even their corner, Paulson Adebo, had missed some time lately. Their top guy there had some knee discomfort pregame during warmups, and then he didn't play. So it was like I was out there watching the backups for the most part. It didn't honestly seem that way a lot, though. I think Jameis Winston, much to my chagrin, performed admirably at the QB position. Not, Jackson Dart-esque. He kind of makes the big plays with his feet, splashy and that sort of thing. Just kind of managing the offense, making, safe-ish throws, which is a little surprising for him. That's not what he was known for a lot of his time in Tampa specifically. But not good enough to beat this Packers team. But I think it was really the Packers kind of playing down to their level as they have for the past several weeks. They lost to the Panthers. They had a really close win over a team that eludes me 2 weeks ago. I don't remember who it was, but they've kind of played a little closer to their competition than I think people would like. I should have also mentioned that Abdul Carter was benched for the opening series in this game, apparently for sleeping through the team walkthrough earlier in the week. Now, he actually had media today and said something like he didn't sleep through the walkthrough, but because they have a new coaching staff, Brian Dable being fired, some of the times of their meetings and stuff were adjusted. So he was getting some medical treatment during that time because he usually does it the same time every week, and the walkthrough happened to be when he normally got medical treatment, and he just didn't make that adjustment in his schedule. So that's why he ended up missing the walkthrough, not because he just slept through it. So he kind of put that to bed, obviously, if that's true. But a lot of Giants personnel issues right now, injury wise. Um, from the Packers, it was kind of a slog. It felt like a lot as it has been lately. I think their receiving game is kind of all over the place. A lot of drops in this one. From what I remember, Romeo Dobbs had a couple drops. Matthew Golden wasn't used that much. Christian Watson had an insane touchdown catch that kind of secured the victory for them. Probably like I watched a fair amount of football this weekend. It could be the best highlight of the weekend. It was an awesome catch out of like the back of the end zone. Um, and then their defense was fine. Micah Parsons ended the game on getting to Jameis and kind of forcing the ball out of his hands for a fumble on a Hail Mary attempt. But it was okay. The watch was okay. It sucks that I got the team when none other people are there. Granted, Scattaboo and Neighbors won't be there for the rest of the year anyways. Um, but a lot of guys out, and this team put up more of a fight than I think most people probably would have given them credit for going into it all.
Yeah, I think I had my eyes on this game a lot as well. Curious to see how Drew Brees performed in the booth, replacing Mark Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
fine. It took him a
I
minute
was gonna
to
say
get
I
his
thought Drew Brees was fine.
um some awkward pauses, but he's getting used to the chemistry. Yeah, I think the Packers definitely played down to the Giants, as you said in this game. I don't have a ton of thoughts about either team except to say this could have been a get right game for the Packers. Instead, it was a get away by the skin of their teeth game.
Hmm.
Because this one was close. I mean, the Giants were leading late, and you said Abdul Carter put the narrative to bed. Still quite possibly put himself to bed. I guess we won't know.
True.
Uh,
Very true. I should have mentioned the another thing I didn't like about watching this game because Jameis got the start. They really love talking about how Jameis is like such a fun-loving guy on the
yeah,
broadcast. Um, but with the past history and of things that are not great, I just didn't love hearing about that a lot.
yeah, it's tough because I do think Jameis is really entertaining. I never showed you the video of him. Did I show you the Big Apple Jameis Winston video? Where he's at the Empire State Building and he mimes biting into the Big Apple and then chewing it on camera, straight to camera. Fantastic. But um, I think that there is definitely like one, an over glorification of someone who has character concerns, and two, an over glorification of someone who is entertaining, but not in a particularly intentional way. I think he's just kind of a goofy guy, and they give him a lot of props for being goofy and singing Hamilton when it's
Yeah.
just the kind of guy who's goofy and sings Hamilton. It's not really like a skill. I don't know. No offense to Jameis, but um, he's not like a comedian, right? He's just kind of a goofy guy. And they eat that up. They eat it up. Anyway, I have no other
Yeah. What
thoughts on this
about
game.
your game? Tell me
Yeah,
about this absolute battle down in the AFC South.
yeah. This is a veritable war. Texans Titans. Already used up my attack on Titan joke here. Um, 16 for the Texans, 13 for the Titans, and I will give the Titans credit. They were in this game the whole way. This wasn't 16 and they scored a late 13. The Titans actually were leading for the majority of this game. Texans missed a field goal on their first drive, got bailed out by a roughing the snapper penalty on the Titans to get into the red zone, go forward on fourth and goal, don't get it. Titans take over, able to get some momentum. They had a lot of success relative to the rest of their offense, throwing short routes to the likes of especially Tyjae Spears and letting them run ahead for the first down. We're able to convert a lot that way, ended up taking a 6-0 lead. Um, the Texans jump back and score, and then, just kind of keep piling on points here and there. Titans are able to strike back with a late touchdown of their own on a pretty nice drive from Cam Ward, who was able to lead them all the way down the field with some help from a pass interference penalty on the Texans to tie the game. And it was a Texans 2-minute drill with Davis Mills at the helm to lead them over the top. So Texans with a backup quarterback, which qualifies the Titans' performance, I would argue, but their defense was legitimately disruptive. I believe there were at least 3 or 4 sacks, multiple from Arden Key. Cody Barton on that fourth and goal I mentioned blew up the play with a huge sack. Um, the Texans just ended up kind of edging them out, I think, on the margins. I think it was just like a better team wins battle of attrition game. But um, the Titans offense has some real questions. Calvin Ridley broke his fibula and is out for the season. He went out, I believe, on the first catch of the game, his first catch of the game, which was early in the first quarter. So they were down to, we'll say, the reserves on the Titans, not the
Elakayo
exact leaders.
Manor,
Io
Chimere
Manor.
DK,
There was a guy named Mason who kept showing up, number 12.
Chimere DK. I don't know who Mason is.
I'm looking it up. They had oh, was it
Shiga
Mason
Conquo,
Kinsey?
he's
Mason
out there.
Kinsey. They Gunnar Helm getting some grabs
Mm.
for these. Titans. Um, Problems on the offensive line in terms of holding penalties. They took four false starts, including three in one drive. Um,
Ouch.
just kind of can't do that. I think it definitely set them back. Cam looked okay. He sailed a few open passes, which was tough, missed some opportunities. Just throwing a little wide. Good that he was throwing to the right person, and I didn't see from him, and I wasn't totally dialed in. Maybe I missed a thing or two, but like not a ton of blunders where I was like, oh, who makes that boneheaded throw? I didn't have a ton of boneheaded plays. Just a couple where he threw it a little past the receiver, put it in the wrong spot, you know, that kind of thing. But the fact that he was able to lead them on a late drive to tie the game was promising. The fact that defense was able to really mess with the Texans offensive line and make them earn this win, even with the backup quarterback, pretty promising. Yeah, that's kind of all I've got.
Yeah, I'll say this about Cam Ward because he's probably the only guy worth talking about on the offense right now, right? Um, there's a thing in basketball for shooters specifically where they talk about, I don't remember who it is, maybe JJ Redick or something like that. Talked about it's hard to be a bench guy and especially a bench shooter because you're just supposed to come in and immediately kind of be on and hit all the shots. But the difficulty is you don't kind of get the rhythm of the game to kind of get your feet under you and get set and be ready. And I almost feel like with all of the other issues on the Titans offense, the line, the lack of talent in the receiving core, uh, the subpar running game, etc. When Cam Ward finally gets those open passes, it's like, oh, it's been hellacious all game. Now that he has the opportunity for one open pass, he misses it. I feel like, at least some amount of that can be attributed to like, yeah, I'm getting my ass kicked all game, so it's kind of hard when the time is right.
Yeah, they did a decent job scheming up some short passes for him, which I think don't mitigate your point, but that's could have gotten him into more of a rhythm, maybe, but certainly I imagine he's not used to having a ton of opportunities to really get in rhythm with deep passing in particular. The one thing I'll say, the Rich Eisen show, they keep claiming, oh, the Chiefs should have sent whatever it takes to get Brees Hall from the Jets. I wonder what Spears could have given to a team that wanted to upgrade its running back position because of injuries or general lack of talent, because there were plays where he was elusive and created first downs with his shiftiness. Not a
Hmm.
ton, but they were there. And I do wonder whether Spears will kind of be lost on some mediocre Titans teams, mediocre or worse Titans teams. Um, because it's hard to gauge. This is one thing I find with teams like the Titans is when you are so underperforming at all levels of the offense and defense for the most part, your best player on that team who has the most tackles or the most yards might be a running back two or running back three on another team, but they look better than they seem because of what's around them. And I do wonder how much of that's happening with a guy like Spears, but um, yeah, not a ton. I know they've invested a lot in the offensive line. I think their defensive line has some pieces to hang on to if you're going to try for a quicker turnaround. Guys like Arden Key, Jeffrey Simmons, still is a quality player, disruptor. Um, but yeah, those were kind of the two standout units. Defense was generally in the right place. I'll give them that. This wasn't a team that was making consistent like schematic mistakes that I saw. Just kind of got beat by a better team.
For sure. Yeah. And even with the backup quarterback. But Davis Mills has played respectable this year.
Yeah, definitely one that Texans needed to get up to 5-5. Titans still at one win on the year. Um, don't know how much that's going to change, but for the Texans, staying alive with Mills is essential. Why don't you introduce our next segment while I spin in my chair and cough a little bit to the side?
Absolutely, I will introduce our next segment, and that's the old pop and stop. I was thinking earlier, should this be called pop and stop? Pop and stop if you don't know. Games that pop and games we wish could stop. I was really thinking we should just have ethical and unethical games, but um, that doesn't matter actually. Pop and Stop is catchy too. Just not, I don't know if it's on brand.
Um, what about games that bring peace and games we wish would cease? We could do the peace and cease. That one's
Mm,
electric.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Maybe every
This
week it
week,
should just be two different words that rhyme.
that would be kind of funny. The highly rate and abate games of the week. Um, this is this
Oh,
is
jeez.
this is kind of funny. Yeah, we could just call it the rhyming word game of the week segment. Speaking of games that pop, which is what we'll operate with for this week, let's start with the contest in Madrid. Dolphins 16 at Commanders 13. A game that went to overtime before a Marcus Mariota interception gave the Dolphins a late win.
Yeah, was an international game, which means I certainly wasn't awake for it. Um,
I was going to ask,
Judge-
did you pull an Abdul Carter for the international game?
I did. I slept through the walkthrough, the real game. I slept through the whole thing. I slept through the week. Yeah, the Dolphins were at home in this Madrid game, which is why I put Dolphins of Madrid home game, which makes
Oh,
no
I see.
sense.
Yeah,
Um, I'm trying to think I went back and looked at a little bit of it. I know Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt got like outran by Chris Rodriguez. That was interesting. Didn't
yeah.
expect that to happen. I know that the Dolphins are not good, but they barely won against the game with the backup quarterback, and neither of these teams seem like they're going to really matter down the stretch.
Yeah, I was awake for a good share of this game and I did watch it. Um, it should tell you how memorable it was that I am fumbling for any meaningful detail.
Right.
Uh, it was not an altogether great game. I will say it wasn't just like watching two stuck in the mud. I remember being like, "Oh, that was decently entertaining enough." Um, I thought Mariota was solid. I think Mariota is a solid backup. Um, it really just came down to he made one blunder, giving it up on the pick. I think that the Dolphins have, a couple legitimate offensive pieces. I feel like I remember Waddle having an insane grab down the sideline at one point in this game, but
Hmm.
that was again about the only thing that truly jumped out. Unfortunately, otherwise, this was a game that was super exciting to see it go. I'm now vaguely recalling there was a part of the play card here. There was a missed field goal for the Commanders to take the lead before the game went into overtime. So that is unfortunate there. Or actually, Washington looks like had two missed field goals. So
And
yeah,
they lost. They
the Dolphins.
lost.
They no. Dolphins definitely had better vibes coming out of this game. That's the one thing I'll say. I think the Dolphins' vibes have improved, and I think the Commanders feel just utterly missing. Uh, the Dolphins are not a good enough mediocre team that you should be losing to them, I guess, unless you're the Bills by an untenable amount.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
yeah, I guess this game pops because it was in Madrid, and
It
that was
went to
cool.
overtime. It automatically pops. So that's
Oh, it
the
was a classic OT auto pop scenario.
right, right.
I'll tell you as a spectator,
And back-to-back 16-13 games we're talking about. So
what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, from uh four epic teams in the league right now. Let's talk about the other overtime game because I got to watch this one wrap up from a Pluckers, which is a wings chain here in Texas.
mm, hmm.
Panthers 30 at Falcons 27 in overtime. Panthers Truthers rise up. Another win for our Kings in Panther Blue.
I think I am a Panther truther. I was talking to a friend the other day who really enjoys football, and I pitched an idea about making a tier list of teams that we enjoy watching. I said a ranking of like 1 to 32. I turned mine into a tier list and then I ranked them also. And Panthers were number two. And I was like, how did this happen? I don't remember this. And it was just like the tier, because the Lions were number one, of course. And then the Panthers were the head of the second tier that was basically teams I really want to succeed most of the time. And then
Yeah,
like right below that tier was like the Giants and Rams of the world because of like some past rosters that I really enjoyed.
yeah.
Um, so on and so forth. But yes, I'm in this Panther truther camp.
No, it
Go,
was
please.
exciting ending. Um, Obviously the game gets to overtime. Uh, Panthers were able to rumble down the field and pick it up with that game winner at the end. And I think this game marks the end of the Falcons season because of an injury to Michael Penix that will keep him out for the rest of the season. We had to have Kirk Cousins step in for this game. It now looks like he will start for the rest of the year just because Penix is no longer available, which raises serious questions. I think like um I can't remember who was talking about it, but they were like, rest in peace to this build of the Falcons. And I think that that's kind of accurate. I don't see this Falcons core being it, which is strange because they pushed a lot of chips in the table to build this defense the way they
Hmm.
wanted to. Apparently, as I'm looking at the play-by-play and summary of this game. Bryce Young set the Panthers record for passing yards in a game in this
Yeah,
game.
he threw it in what is it, 440 something?
448. That's a good memory. Uh,
Hmm.
which is a lot, but I will say for a franchise record feels a little low in the modern era, maybe. But
Yeah, that feels like
um,
a Jake Delhomme game in 2001 should be up there or something.
yeah, that Jake Delhomme, good pull. Yeah, I guess Cam was never like a
Right.
passing kind of quarterback, but the Falcons will not receive any benefit from giving up on this season in the first round because their first round pick belongs to the Rams. So,
Yep.
uh, bit of a pinch, bit of
Three
a
and seven.
pinch.
Surprising 3 and 7. Swept by the
Um,
Panthers.
oh, I feel
Beat
like
the
I
Bills.
remember this was a great pass to Bryce Young to Tet McMillan to win the game. By the way, that was a great play.
He had a
Um,
huge game,
yeah,
McMillan. 8 for 130 and 2 touchdowns or something like that.
yeah, which is yeah, Tommy Tremble 54 yarder in overtime to put the Panthers in position to win this one. I just feel like, do I trust the Panthers long term this season? No. Do I think that they are giving a season to be optimistic about for the future of the franchise? Potentially. I feel like, especially when an investment in a young player like McMillan is panning out and gives you a legitimate number one weapon, there's things to be hopeful for. So happy for Panthers fans and us Panthers truthers. We should definitely do that tier list on an episode one of these days. Our watchability tier list. I think we would have probably a lot more consensus than we would realize. And only other thing to mention: Falcons wide receiver Drake London has a PCL sprain and will miss a couple of weeks. So just another reason the Falcons will be short-staffed for the remainder of this season.
Tough, 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 tough. That what was it? Zach Robinson, offensive coordinator of the year, or whatever. Not looking too good. Not looking too good for me.
Hey.
Uh, another pop game, another division bout. The Bears 19 at Minnesota Vikings 17. I will talk about this as I always do. This is your um. I was trying to come up with a segment name on the spot and I couldn't do it.
Ethical baller of the week.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Ethical baller of the week. Caleb Williams was the Week 11 NFLPA Community MVP for treating 40 members of his hometown youth football team to an AI tech workshop. Yuck. A panel with Bears executives. Also yuck. Time with Caleb Williams, which is cool. but most importantly, end zone seats of the game. That's what we're talking about. I don't care about any of the other stuff. Yuck, yuck, yuck. But that part's pretty cool.
They now know how to workshop AI tech. I would say that's pretty good. No, that's cool. That is cool, and I think not that Caleb Williams is needed to repair his image, but both due to I think some like latent sexism and not that he's gay, but homophobia and thrown
Hmm.
towards him. He's kind of had like a bad rep. For those who don't know, he paints his nails. His mom's a nail tech, something he's done for a long time. And a lot of football fans were not about that, I imagine, because it's too feminine, right? Um, so
Yeah.
nice that he's going out there and hopefully changing how people view him. And this is a big win for the Bears. Pulled it out by 2 points, 1917, and over a divisional foe in the Vikings. This one was also tight. Bears were able to pull this one out late on a Kairos Santos field goal. That was close, but some cigar going in late
Uh,
and battling
and we got
back
another
for.
Ben Johnson locker room speech.
Was he
Just what
going
we want.
sicko mode in this one as
He,
well?
he was very animated, as he always is.
Um, which good for them. I still don't believe in the Bears product right now. Not that I think they're not good. I just don't believe in them as like a contender level team, despite the fact that they currently lead the NFC North.
Yeah, and I think part of that is like, so a lot of their wins have been pretty close. This one included. You mentioned the last second field goal. Over a team that's offense looked very, very poor under the run of J.J. McCarthy. He still does not look like a quality NFL quarterback at this stage. Their pass catchers are all basically doing nothing. Um, it's a lot of J.J. running around, maybe throwing the occasional screen. They run the ball. So not a great looking offense, and you barely beat them by a last second field goal. Granted, Minnesota has had a pretty strong defense all season, but yeah, a win, but not a convincing one, like you said.
Yeah, got past the Lions a couple weeks ago. So the Vikings aren't total pushovers. Granted, the Lions figuring things out, but yeah, I think this is a nice win for the Bears because I think the Bears are going to be pushing for wild card status. I don't trust them to win the division per se. And I think that this just helps keep them in position to do that. The next matchup was one of the sort of highlight matchups of the week. Bills 44 over Buccaneers 32. Might have been Heed the Call saying this. There were 9 lead changes in this game. The two-score win is misleading. This game was close for a vast majority of the runtime, and this was with Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman serving as a healthy scratch due to missing a team meeting on Friday, which I think is interesting because a player like Abdul Carter makes a similar mistake and is held out for a series. Keon Coleman misses a meeting and is out for the whole game. That might speak to how vital they feel Keon Coleman is to their success on the Bills.
Yeah, I think that this is not his first kind of infraction as well.
Hmm.
Um, because I'm reading through right now. Yeah, it seems like this is his third time something like this has occurred since being drafted last year. So that could be also the reason is, hey, like, we've already gone down this path, so maybe the punishment's a little more severe. And Abdul Carter, first round pick, who, like I already mentioned, they're missing Kayvon Thibodeau and stuff like that. Maybe a little more essential to the Giants doing anything than a wide receiver when Josh Allen just kind of throws it to whomever.
Hmm. Yeah, he's staring down a performance improvement plan, Keon Coleman. Um, yeah, I think this was a good. It's important for the Bills to try and keep pace with New England, who continues to make significant strides in the AFC East. For the Buccaneers, I think they're going to be able to keep pace with the Panthers. They're leading the division currently. I don't expect that to change. But probably questions to be asked about the ceiling of the team at this point in the year, considering all the pieces that the Bucks are missing at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to mention this and I forgot to put it in the notes. In this game, Josh Allen became one of two players in NFL history to have multiple games with three passing and three rushing touchdowns. One of two. Jared, do you have any earthly idea who the other one is?
Oh, I heard who it is, but
It is
oh,
a 1950s NFL quarterback.
um, was Otto Graham the 50s?
It was Otto Graham. Yes, sir.
Oh, let's
Yes,
go.
sir. Yeah, that's a crazy stat. So three rushing touchdowns is bonkers. He's just a huge guy that can kind of plow through at the goal line, and he has a cannon on him.
I believe I saw a headline today that the next rushing touchdown he has will set the record for a quarterback, but I may be mistaken.
Who's that
It'd be very,
passing? Cam?
I believe it's passing. Yeah, Josh Allen's next rushing touchdown will break Cam Newton's NFL record for quarterbacks.
Hmm. That makes
Um,
sense. Yeah,
which hey, gotta love Super Cam.
he probably will. I mean, he obviously will have that. He'll get more than one rushing touchdown for the remainder of whatever. Um, I feel like by the end of their respective careers, it's going to be a hard bet to catch Josh Allen's rushing touchdowns for a quarterback and Lamar Jackson's rushing yards for a quarterback.
Yeah, I think that we are. I feel like the league kind of ebbs and flows in terms of the golden ages of quarterbacking. Um, where you'll have a period where it'll be like six or seven aces. I feel like we had that period in the kind of mid to late 2000s, early 2010s, where you have like Roethlisberger, Rodgers, Brady, Manning. Eventually, you get Andrew Luck, like a lot of guys at the height of their powers, and then you kind of thin out to just a few. And I feel like we're entering a period where there might be like 8 to 10 guys who we're talking about as generational dudes. Not even to mention Philip Rivers, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan. I mean, that was crazy. There were like so many good QBs, and I feel like Allen, Jackson, and Mahomes are headlining their own generation of players like that.
For sure. Totally agree. 70 points is always fun. How about another division rivalry, though? How about Rams 21 versus Seahawks 19? You sent me the uniforms that the Rams were going to wear for this game. Is that their rivalry uniform? The black with the blue shoulder pad?
The Midnight
Because
Rams look, I believe so. Yeah.
that thing is ugly. Oh man, the blue shoulder pads and like blue stripe or whatever down the side is horrendous with the black. I hated it so much. It was made watching this game an eyesore.
I think it's disappointing because I actually like just the black with the
Yeah.
yellow ram is like super cool. I think it's like, is it super original or intense? No. But is it like a fun shift on a team that normally wears like blue? Yeah, I think so. Um, and then they're like, what if the shoulders were light blue so you knew it was the Rams? Ah. Disgusting. Yeah, I heard 4 picks for Sam Darnold in this game, which is fun fact. Bad.
I have heard that four interceptions is not great. Um, you know, 1921, not like a crazy scoring game. Obviously, both of these teams coming in, I think were like 7-2 or something like that. They were both pretty up there. So it was kind of the battle for the number one seed in the NFC West. Very competitive division. Both of these teams have looked awesome lately. And I think the Rams kind of veteran, leadership, Matt Stafford, those guys kind of carried them to the end. I also saw a stat about Devontae Adams because he's caught 7 touchdowns in his last game or his last couple of 3 games, maybe something like that. 4 games, I don't remember. A last amount of games, he's caught 7 touchdowns. Do you know how many yards those touchdowns have combined for?
28.
14.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was too
Yeah.
small. Yeah, well, this is what I saw too, is like he loves these little just like mini in routes or out routes that are like
hmm
1 yard past the line of scrimmage. So That's a crazy stat, but it's a cool one.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting because when you have a guy like that, and I mean Puka is obviously a giant threat on the other side, and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum even has been good when he's gotten time this year. When you have formidable backs, you have another alpha receiver. How do you stop all of those options when you're at the 2 or the 1 yard line? Um, Against the Seahawks, of course, making Russell Wilson roll over in his grave, even though he is still in the NFL with that Malcolm Butler INT on the goal line. This is how you do it, apparently. You do it the Matt Stafford Rams way, not whatever they were doing.
Yeah, I think, I was thinking about because Lions played the Eagles this weekend, and I was thinking about how do you beat the tush push, which, by the way, Lions low-key did. We'll get to that game later. You made it a stop game, which I suppose I wish it would have stopped as well. Um, I feel like the Rams are one of those teams where if you want to beat them in certain situations, you just don't let them get there, right? If you don't want to try to have to defend them at the one, you just can't let them get to the one, right?
Right.
Like otherwise they will score. Because Puka and Devontae, both fairly big-bodied receivers, they're tight ends, two great running back. I mean, like it's just there's too much weaponry in a short yardage situation where you got to just be like, I'll force them to kick a field goal at the 30 or bust. So, uh, I mean, definitely a big win for the Rams. I think two of the top four teams in the NFC and probably two of the top three. If I'm being honest with myself, but as a Lions homer, I won't. So,
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. Have they already played? This is not the first. This is the first time they played each other. They'll play again later in the season. I'm excited for a
yes,
rematch between these two squads for sure, and then maybe a playoff rematch. Ooh, that would be fun.
definitely feels like two teams who could see each other. Probably not wild card weekend because I imagine they're probably not going to be lower than the 6 seed, whoever doesn't make it. And I would imagine that whoever
Could
does
be
make
the
it is
old
probably
3-6.
could be a 3-6. I would just kind of be surprised if they were
Not too
three,
early.
to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
I feel
for
like the
sure.
NFC North is going to continue to cannibalize itself a little bit, while the Eagles kind of have a chance to run away with their division. But I suppose we'll see. Speaking of C, that's the first letter in the name Chiefs, which is one of the two teams in another division rivalry. Uh,
Epic.
pulled out by the epic transition. Pulled out by the Broncos. Broncos 22, Chiefs 19 in a game that further extends the Broncos' lead over the division and kicks the Chiefs further into the abyss. Before the game, Broncos running back J.K. Dobbins was placed on IR with a foot injury likely ending his season.
Sad. He's had a lot of injuries in his career.
Yeah, he's sort of snake bitten in that way. Opens the door for R.J. Harvey, who did not have a breakout game that I figured he might as a result. But this was nevertheless a game where the Broncos were able to pull out a low scoring affair against the Chiefs. Broncos don't really have an affinity for high scoring affairs, so did not make one happen. And the Chiefs underscore, I suppose. I again, this was one of the games I was kind of watching concurrently at the restaurant. There were other games going on as well. It seems like you have a trivia question for me here.
I do. Travis Kelce scoring his 84th touchdown, new franchise record. He was tied going into this game. Do you know who he was tied with on that 83rd touchdown?
Is it the tight end record or the Chiefs record
The
for any
Chiefs
player?
touchdown record,
The Chiefs
non-quarterback.
touchdown record.
Ding,
It's
ding, ding,
Jamal
ding, ding.
Charles.
Not Jamal Charles. Good guess. I don't think he was there long enough, probably. Is a running back.
Is a running back.
Here,
I
I'll
think
give
it's
you a visual hint. You ready? You ready?
yeah.
Does that help?
Jesus.
You're getting close. You're getting close. Here, does this help? Does this help? You know, they wear the thing right here.
Co-
It's religious.
Is it Christ Collinsworth? Is that
No, 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 no. I was doing it's a religious position that they wear the thing on the neck. They're
Oh,
dressed in all
I
black.
got it. Good one, good one, good one. Yes, it is of course Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or alternatively
Excellent.
Priest Holmes.
There you go. There
Nice.
you go.
Yeah, I knew there was some old Chiefs running back that I was surely missing. That was a fun clue. Although I will say I'm proud of Christ Collinsworth.
Yeah, that's very close to Chris Collinsworth, who loves the Chiefs. So,
That's true.
you know.
He worships at the altar of Mahomes, no doubt.
Right, right.
No false
Uh,
idols.
I'm
Uh,
happy for the Broncos. Happy they're 9-2 going in to their bye week, I believe. And the Chiefs are 5-5, and that makes me probably even happier than the Broncos being 9-2.
yeah, the Chiefs not even in the top seven right now, like my beloved Lions. But um, I do think that the Chiefs have legitimately not turned the corner many thought they would, and that raises some real concerns for this team. So curious to see whether they can play their way into a wild card. I don't think it's over for this team until it's over, but um, we may just be looking at a point where the talent cupboard is a little too hollowed out on both sides of the ball, and um, I wonder if we see something similar to what the Rams pulled in the early 2020s after their Super Bowl, where they did sort of like the youth movement, quick turnaround, draft some good guys and roll. That might be what the Chiefs need to revitalize this era.
Or they cannot. That's okay. Um,
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm not necessarily like. I think, unfortunately, as long as Patrick Mahomes is there, the floor for what they can be talent wise and still in the conversation is lower than most other teams.
Chiefs, by the way, 32 on that list, if you can believe it. So, you know,
It's right
uh,
around where they would be for me either.
it's the fatigue. The fatigue factor is really set in.
Yeah, Chiefs
Um,
32, Cowboys 31, probably.
the Cowboys skyrocketed all the way to 29 on my list. You want to
Wow.
hear who was at the very bottom?
Do
I
I get like
believe.
one other guess?
Yeah, please.
Because I could see like the Eagles being low,
They were low-ish because I was getting a little fatigue. I don't think they were quite that low though. They
Titans
were in the
low.
20s. Huh?
Were Titans low?
The Titans were like 11. The Titans
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, hit me.
were,
Who was 31 and 30 here?
um, how about this? I'll give you one more hint. I'll tell you. How do I do this? How do I do this? Um, I'll just say Aaron Rodgers. That'll be my hint,
Oh,
actually.
Steelers, Steel City, baby. Let's go. Steel City.
Steel, Steelers are down there. I don't remember if they were 30 or 31. I think they were 30.
Were the Packers the other one?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Nice. Um, I do like watching them for Schadenfreude reasons in a way that like I find the Chiefs truly unwatchable. At least the Packers players individually don't make me angry. It's just the letter they wear, you know. Um,
Yeah. I think I just was sick of Aaron Rodgers for a long time. It's still looming
yeah,
over me.
totally fair. Speaking of unwatchability, why don't you preview this game with one of the most unwatchable teams in the league?
One of the most unwatchable teams in the league, the Cleveland Browns, number 28 on that list, by the way. Um, because they lost to the Baltimore Ravens, another division matchup here. Last division matchups this week, obviously. Ravens had 23, Browns 16. Browns, another game where like their defense is really good and their offense is does nothing. And Dylan Gabriel exited with an injury. Shadeur Sanders played. We mentioned that earlier. He scored 0 points because they had 16 when he came in. But who's to say that was his fault? Mark Andrews set the new Ravens all-time receiving record in this game, passing the previous number 5,777, which is not that many yards for a franchise receiving record. Jared, who do you think had the record before this?
I was thinking about it. Is it Steve Smith Sr.?
See, that would have been my first guess. It is not Steve Smith Sr., which is so weird. I guess he maybe was just a Panther for too long that he didn't
Yeah.
quite get there on the Ravens stat list. Um, Here's what I will tell you. This player
I've got
was
a few other
also,
guesses.
oh, please,
Anquan Bolden?
not Anquan Bolden. That's a good guess too. He was a Niner for a long time too, right?
Yeah.
I
Brief
think.
Lion, Anquan Bolden.
Mm.
Trying to think who else is a Ravens receiver ever. Um,
Right.
it's gotta be OBJ.
I can't believe he passed teammate Rashad Bateman. Crazy.
Yeah. I didn't know Marquise Brown did so much damage in such a
Oh,
short
there you
time.
go. Yeah.
Can you give me a hint here?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. This player, I was looking them up because I was really confused by this. I think they perhaps played more on the Titans than they did on the Ravens.
Well, my first thought was Derrick Henry. I know it's not Derrick Henry.
That would be that would be crazy.
More on the
Um,
Titans than on the Ravens. I'm trying to think, is it like
First one, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8 years in the league were on the Titans, and then just from age 31 to 36, he managed to capture this Ravens record.
I had a name before you even said that, but the fact that you spent 8 years, is it like Delaney Walker or something like that?
Not Delaney Walker. That guy was a Titan for a long time. He even made what appears to be two Pro Bowls and an All-Pro as a Titan, not as a Raven.
What
Um,
years, when was his career?
yeah, 97 to 2011.
Man,
I would have legitimately never guessed this. So I don't fault yourself for this one.
who was it?
Initials DM. Does that give it to you?
No, not at all.
Derek Mason.
Okay, I've heard the name,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I also feel like I've heard that sounds like the name of a fullback who's played every year I've watched the league.
Right.
Like if you were like Derek Mason is currently the Chargers fullback, I'd go, yeah, of course.
That's
And also like
legend
the
Derek
Steelers
Watt. Come
center.
on now.
Um, that's so funny. Anyway, um, cool. Good for Derek Mason. It looks like Shadeur will start next week as well. Um,
Yeah.
so Dealin Gabriel is now Healin Gabriel as he recovers from injury.
Ah, very good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hopefully Shadeur has some better security this time around on his property when they play, but we will see. The Ravens are going to come back and just take this division, I think.
It feels pretty likely at this point. Browns gave them a real scare for a majority of the game. I'm just really excited when Shadeur makes my Rookie of the Year prediction come true.
There it is.
Yep.
Finally, in week 11, he gets his first crack at it.
Let's
Oh,
go, Shadeur. Anyway, let's move to our stop games because we want to roll through them and get to our Week 12 preview. Here, we'll start with the Nor'easter Jersey Rockin' Patriots beating the Jets on Thursday Night Football 27-14. Garrett Wilson placed on IR for the Jets due to a knee sprain before this game. And running back Ramondre Stevenson and wide receiver Kayshon Boutte ruled out for the Patriots with toe and hamstring injuries, respectively.
is it my turn now?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like I was going to list like seven things. So
There was a lot. Yes, during the game, during game action, Patriots defensive tackle Milton Williams, who is making $1 billion, basically one of the most paid defensive players in the league after this offseason, is on IR after he left with a high ankle sprain. So that is definitely a knock on their defensive front. They've been one of the better teams at stopping the run this season, and he has been a large part of that. So we will see how their defense kind of fares going forward, and obviously what they're 9-2 or something like that. So hopefully he comes back for their playoff run that they're going to have, unless they completely fall apart this season. Also,
yeah.
after the oh no, go ahead, go
No, sorry.
ahead.
I just want to say they've hit their ninth win, correct? Matching my prediction for the year for the Patriots.
Yes, I think I had them at 5-12, so this is not looking good for me.
Well, I've taken my lumps as well. So, um, fair enough. And yes, they were wearing their Nor'easter uniforms, Damon. What is your take on the Nor'easter uniforms for the Patriots?
Um, they were okay. They were like just boring enough that I don't understand why they were a uniform.
Yeah. Speaking of why is that a uniform? I forgot to mention for the Titans, their numbers are yucky. The numbers on their jerseys make
Like
me
the
really
font, or what do you
uncomfortable.
mean?
The font, if you look up
Mm,
Tennessee Titans jerseys, and it's also
yes, I
on the
can picture it in
stadium,
my head.
they're like way too thin.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's sorry, it's a non sequitur, but it felt vital to share aloud. Um, the Jets didn't really make this game terribly competitive, unfortunately, and they are now switching to Tyrod Taylor at quarterback going forward, a change that Justin Fields was able to stave off after Taylor had an injury earlier in the season that gave them a surprising win and kind of bought them some time. But I'm not surprised to see that ultimately they are pulling the plug on Justin Fields as starter. And I would not be surprised to see if Justin Fields just didn't return next year. I feel like it'd be awkward to try to keep him on the roster after this
yeah,
benching, but we'll see.
it's similar to the Cam Ward take. Like, how do you expect him to succeed when there's so much dysfunction going on? Benching, not benching. Oh, we benched you, but actually he's injured, so you're back in it. Uh, yeah, your primary receiver is out and has been out for most of the year. But don't worry, John Mechie, Allen Lazard, and I don't know, the corpse of Jamison Crowder will guide you to success.
Jamison Crowder, fun fact, has been in the league since before its inception. Uh, crazy
Feels
fact.
that way.
Yeah. Let's move on to a game that was an absolute drubbing unexpectedly. I don't think folks
Wait,
thought this would.
wait. We
Oh,
have to
sorry,
talk
sorry.
about Travion Henderson having 3 touchdowns and saving both of our fantasy weeks. Thank you,
Toot
Travion
toot.
Henderson.
Travion Henderson, thank you. You have changed the outlook of my season. Got me a 2-0 result in the league this week. So I jump up
Surpassing
to number
me in
4.
that league. Yes. As I went 0 2 for a subpar week from the boys in
And we
blue.
we started talking trade, but I kind of view you as the Howie Roseman of fantasy trades, where anything you agree to, I think is going to be a fleece I don't realize.
See, that's
Um,
so interesting that you say. I see. I feel like I try to make them so fair for everybody.
the Saquon trade, I don't know. That one still has me
Look,
agog.
go look at Saquon's numbers this fantasy season and tell me that I won that trade because he hasn't been
Um,
great.
I will say Ted McMillan has been real.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what else appears real, though it may not actually be? The Jaguars' resurgence, baby. Coming out with a 29-point smacking of the Chargers 35-6 in a dominant win for Jacksonville.
Yeah, totally shocking. Like one of those results, it's like, huh? What happened?
Shocking because the
Yes,
Chargers.
yes. Ha ha. Very good of you, sir. Um, I. What happened last week? The Jaguars got slaughtered last week, and I don't remember by who.
I'm
And now
on
they
it.
come
You
out
keep
and
talking.
win the game this week. Another one of those weird teams on a weird 2 week
Oh, that's
stretch.
right. The Jaguars got revenge sniped by the Texans in the fourth quarter.
Mm. Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah. Slaughtered in 1 quarter, I should have said. It wasn't the whole game.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, weird team. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. I think the Texans are kind of fighting their footing in that division. The Colts obviously still looking pretty dominant. They were on bye this past week. So we'll see. It'll be a tough ask to sneak into that wild card, but they could do it.
they kind of feel like the Falcons, if the Falcons were living up to a little bit more of their promise of being a
Mm.
50-50 team that could make more happen than expected. This is a bad omen for the Chargers. I don't know how many more of these um, stunning losses they can take before they are down for the count firmly. Let's move on though to a game with some narratives, both related to play and not related to play. This was Steelers 34, Bengals 12 in the rematch of the Thursday night barn burner between Flacco and Rodgers. It was the Steelers that took the day, but not without a cost. What's the Steelers' health situation, Damon?
Yeah, so quarterback Aaron Rodgers, my one of my least favorite players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Which of course that doesn't mean I want him to get injured. So I am sad about an injury of any kind. He suffered what has been described as a slight break in his left wrist and did not return. Now, Jared, I'm no doctor. They do not call me Dr. Damon, they just Damon. But a slight break sounds like a break nonetheless. And as a person that throws a football for a living, you probably do not want your wrist to break.
Yeah, I heard he might have a chance to come back this week, though.
That's insane. I also heard that. But like, you
Yeah.
break your wrist and you're like, I'm gonna throw the next week. It seems like an interesting choice. I know their season is kind of on the fritz after a couple bad losses, and I'm sure with the Ravens kind of resurging with Lamar healthy, they are a little worried about their footing in that division, as they should be. But you don't want to rush your mummy quarterback back from a health scare.
Yeah. Maybe if you're Rodgers, you're like, hey, if I can't use my left wrist after this season, that's okay. I was on my way out. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is a nice win for the Steelers. I think they need it to stay wild card relevant. I just think the Ravens have looked too competitive for them to rest on their laurels, certainly.
hmm
And I think they'll have a hard time holding their lead for the division, but we'll certainly still have a chance to battle with the likes of the Jaguars to stay in the wild card picture. Um, but this game is not without controversy. Bengals wideout Jamar Chase spit on Steelers quarterback Jalen Ramsey during a dead ball, and Ramsey later threw a punch and grabbed Chase's face mask, causing an ejection. After video of the spit emerged post game, wasn't really something we were aware of during the broadcast. He was suspended for week 12. You have to wonder if that Minka Jalen trade never happened. Would Jamar Chase have been suspended? Sliding doors.
Unlikely.
Un
Unlikely, yeah.
Unlikely,
Something
but
something I considered way back when I made that prediction, by the way. How will this
you were
affect
like, it's
Jamar Chase's
possible.
legacy? Um, yeah, I think the NFL kind of had no choice to do this because they kind of treated the Jalen Carter thing as a suspension when they ejected him in that week one showdown against the Cowboys. So in the game, you don't really see the spit. You just kind of see Jalen Ramsey like punch at him and then grab him, and it becomes this whole ordeal for a little bit. Jalen Ramsey gets ejected, and then after the game, they get a little bit of a different camera angle that clearly shows Jamar Chase scoring like wow, a lot of spit all over Jalen Ramsey, and that's taunting or unsportsmanlike or whatever they call it, and that's not allowed.
Yeah, I think
Frustrating
that
game for him, I'm sure.
uh,
34-12. He was probably
yeah.
just on his wits end.
Yeah, I think the Bengals season, they have to now go and play New England. I think the Bengals are done, and I don't think they should bring back Joe Burrow at this point. I think, um, you know, I get
Why
maybe
risk
you
it?
want him, yeah, maybe you want to get him back into the swing, avoid some of the short, slow starts that you have. But if you bring him back, it's with full knowledge that he's playing to get his mind right for 26 because, um, against the Patriots without Chase, Flacco at the helm, it's going to be a slippery slope in that game, and I don't see them pulling that out.
No, for sure. I 100% agree. Another kind of drubbing that occurred on this weekend. 49ers 41 points at Cardinals 22. Um, it was pretty high scoring early on. Big kick return led to like a 1 yard touchdown from CMC right from the get-go, and then from there the 49ers just kind of kept going. Um, but the Cardinals come out with the news of this game. Jacoby Brissett, of course, filling in for the injured and maybe also benched Kyler Murray, completed an NFL record 47 passes because they were just down the whole game. They, of course, are without James Conner. Trey Benson, their backup, is on IR. They got Bam Knight from the practice squad, and Mari DiMarcado exited this game with an injury. Um, there's not a lot of backs there, not a lot of running you can do, especially when you're down. And that also led to a huge game from Michael Wilson, 15 catches for 185 yards, the most receiving yards in a game this season. course, Jamar Chase had 16 catches against the Steelers, their last matchup. So he did not crack that catch, but he did crack the yard total. We mentioned, I think we mentioned last episode, Marvin Harrison Jr. appendicitis, so he was out for this game after having that appendix removed. And Jacoby was just throwing the ball all over the place, but it didn't lead to meaningful results as the defense couldn't do anything about the Niners. Oh,
Yeah, I think Jonathan Gannon's got to be on watch. Cardinals have really drastically underperformed after starting the season 2-0. I know there's some health concerns with Kyler or benching concerns with Kyler, but I think he's been around for 3 years and they're getting smoked. I mean, they are getting absolutely walloped by division rivals, and you never want to be the fourth fiddle in a good division. They are kind of the Ravens of the, or excuse me, Raiders of the NFC West, and I don't know if he's the right coach with the wrong quarterback. Just based on what we've seen, you'd think he'd be able to get more. Cool stat for Jacoby Brissett. Is kind of a journeyman who's had so many stops in the league, and sort of fun for him to hold that record. But ultimately, unsurprised to see the Cardinals drop one to a more competent Niners team, and it's good news for Brock Purdy to get this win in his return.
yeah, and you mentioned the health for the Cardinals, but it's not exactly like the 49ers have been the healthiest squad this season as well. Although Ricky Pearsall did come back and do absolutely nothing in this game too.
Yep, yep. My fantasy season may well hinge on whether he can emerge and evolve.
In
Uh,
my in my other league this week, I have Jamar Chase, who's suspended, and I have Jalen Waddle, who's on bye, and I have Lad McConkey, who's on bye. I may very well be starting Jacoby Myers of the Jaguars and Ricky Pearsall at wide receiver this weekend in fantasy in that league.
yeah, Pearsall was a big investment for me in fantasy, who has been injured. Of course, Mike Evans for me on IR. I got exactly 0 points out of Quentin Johnston this week. That was huge.
The Chargers,
Um,
oh, the receivers were all horrible. Yeah, it's tough.
yeah. Hey, I will say props to uh, Jordan Addison, who was a goose egg most of the game and then just found 10 points in the couch cushions to help give me a nice last lift.
Yeah, you sent me a text at some point Sunday and said my receivers have exactly 0 points right now.
Yeah, and it was like the
Just
third
all-
quarter of their games. It was brutal. It was brutal, but uh, my running backs were just electric. So uh, one of those running backs was Jahmyr Gibbs, who was arguably the lone bright spot on a Lions offense that was swallowed up by the Eagles in a 16-9 matchup where the Lions went 0 for 5 on fourth down, could never get the offensive momentum going. Defense played pretty well. Eagles never truly pulled out of reach. And if it weren't for a controversial pass interference call on Rock Yassin, the Lions would have had the ball back with a chance to drive down the field and tie it. But
That was a crazy call.
pass, yeah, it was ridiculously not pass interference. But um,
Even the commentators were like, that was maybe offensive pass interference.
yeah, no, it was Chris Collinsworth decided to like the Lions for about 4 minutes
Yeah,
and slander them. And I don't like Nick Sirianni very much after this. He was just pointing, and like every time they do this sort of slow-mo shots from the game as it cut to commercial, they would
yeah.
show the one of him pointing and yelling at the field. I'm like, yeah, what a likable dude. Epic. A little bitter, obviously, but the Lions need more offensive rhythm if they want to establish themselves as contenders. They're now 6-4 out of the playoff picture at current. Um, Granted, half a game behind the Packers and only one game behind the Bears with a tiebreaker in the division, so very much a chance to get right soon. But we need more consistent offensive production. The Eagles' defense does look elite, but I think the Lions' offense or Lions' defense held the Eagles to few enough points that the Lions could have won this game. Sam Laporta, the tight end for the Lions, placed on IR due to a back injury, surpassed this week by Brock Purdy for the most, I want to say, receptions or receiving yards for a tight end of the first 2 seasons of their career.
You said
Eagles
Brock
offensive
Purdy? You meant Brock Bowers?
Brock Bowers, Brock Bowers, fantasy legend for me, Brock Bowers. Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson suffered a Liz Frank injury and did not return. Will miss some time, so a blow for the Eagles, but overall, a very competent, solid win by them. And I'm just going to hold out faith in my team and hope it turns around.
Yeah, I think there were too many offensive weapons to not utilize them in a more meaningful way. I just think like when I watched one of the fourth downs that we missed, third and one, they hand it to Jahmyr Gibbs and he went right up the middle. Fourth and one, they hand it to Jahmyr Gibbs. He went right up the middle again. And it
Yeah.
was like, okay, we there's a lot we have on the offense for that to be the two plays we run, especially when the part of the Eagles defense that was just bolstered up is their defensive line with the addition of Jalen Phillips, who looked really good in this game. Um, so maybe, use some of that. I know Dan Campbell is not Ben Johnson, obviously, but we had some of that creativity last week. And I think we could have used a little bit more of that today. It just seemed like the offense was a little malaise.
Yeah, and I will say I approve of going for it on fourth when we did. I know it backfired and left some points on the board, but I think in this particular game, you kind of need to be aggressive. I think with the wind that was going on, there was probably some doubt about field goals. And
Super windy.
if you got one or two of those fourth down conversions, this is a completely different game. I also think that a lot of blame was placed by Chris Collinsworth on Jared Goff, and I think a lot of that was misplaced. Yeah, he had some inaccuracies, but I think multiple balls, yes, they were a little far out of reach, but they did hit the hand of the receivers. Got to make those catches. Protection was breaking down, and they're like, oh, he's not throwing very well under pressure. Yeah, when the pressure is destruction of the offensive line, it's not
I
like
was gonna
he's
say
going to
it's
slide in the
definitely more
pocket.
O-line in my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Goff was completely absolved of error. I think the whole offense was off, but I think it was, if anything, equal blame across the entire offense, with maybe the exception of Gibbs and Montgomery, who were playing well. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was pleased with the Lions defense overall. Some admirable defensive back play. Rock Yassin, we do not blame you. Let's move on from this. It's a stop game for a reason. I wanted it to stop. Uh, and so I want to start looking ahead to week 12 and our wheel teams of week 12. Damon, can you put the wheel up for us? We have four teams on bye. They are the Broncos, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Commanders. I know the Commanders were not eligible. Did we have any of those other teams already, or were they all eligible before?
Um, that's a great question. I will have to remember. I think two of these teams go back on the wheel because I think we're supposed to have 10, but we only have eight on here right now. Um, I think both Broncos and Chargers are still supposed to be teams that we watch, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that makes sense because I think you had the Dolphins earlier in the season, if I'm not
I was going to
mistaken.
say I've certainly watched too much Dolphins, so I think they were
Yeah,
my wheel team at one point.
yeah, and I had
Um,
Commanders Chargers at some point. So
yeah,
um,
but we
looks
only got
like
eight. Some good
there's
options.
there's I would say one or two traps, maybe three traps on here that I would.
I'm going
Well,
first, so I'm going to go ahead and spin and get the Browns out of the way for us.
thank you.
Uh, I'm so kind. Oh
Oh
man,
wow.
I really don't care about this. I got the Eagles, by the way. They play the Cowboys, division rivalry. That'll be fun. The Cowboys right now kind of look like the only other team that could matter in the NFC East. The Commanders with their injuries, the Giants with their injuries and lack of wins. I believe Giants, by the way, facing the first official elimination this weekend from the playoffs. So,
Speaking
stuff.
of elimination from the playoffs, we never talked about Raiders Cowboys, which was Monday Night Football. That never even
Oh,
came up as a stop game.
you're absolutely right. And you know why that is because I wrote this on Monday and I forgot to add it after the fact. So, well, let's do that. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that game.
Here, I will I actually did catch a majority of this game. It was 33-16, which is the most misleading final score. It was 24 to
Oh,
9 at half. Dallas absolutely sprinted away. With this game, Las Vegas could not get it going, and I seriously considered turning this game off in the third quarter. And mentally, I had checked out by that point because, quite frankly, with respect, the Raiders just did not field a competent team. Max Crosby clearly frustrated. Pickens was rolling, CD producing as well. And with that two-headed giant, Jake Ferguson, I feel like had at least a nice play or two. Way too much firepower for the Raiders to handle, and not enough capacity on offense to respond to a swelling Cowboys team. This was the first time we saw them play, both after the death of Marshawn Nealand and the acquisitions at the trade deadline. Obviously, the former more important than the latter, but happy for them to be able to pull out a win considering the circumstances, and these defensive additions might be able to give them a real spark.
Yeah, Quentin Williams had a sack pretty early on, which was nice to see. Dak was awesome in this game, getting CD, Pickens, and Ferguson all involved in their own way. Their offense was rolling. The Raiders are not very good. There's something else that I was going to say that is eluding my little brain. But yeah, Cowboys just easy victory here for them. That's one of those weeks where their offense was clicking. Oh, I was going to say that CD and George Pickens were both benched for the first drive of this game. I remember that happening. So,
Did we get the explanation for that?
no, there was no story on it. I saw nothing about it. The theory that I've heard is they were in Vegas, you know. So maybe a little too many, curfew, late night activity sort of thing, maybe. Oh,
Um,
and coach, what's his name? Stottenheimer? Is that his name?
Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer. I was close. Um, Also very impassioned speech in the locker room, kind of honoring Marshawn Nealand and the team's victory after the fact.
That is really cool. Yeah. No, that's great for them that they were able to rally the troops. Yeah, I'm shocked there's nothing about this. I think Vegas is not a bad guess, certainly. They were just kind of out on the town. Ton of Cowboys fans in Las Vegas, by the way. The crowd was with the Cowboys this entire game.
Yeah, did not feel like a home game for the Raiders. Okay, I have the Eagles though, and the Eagles play the Cowboys, and I get to watch the Eagles after I just watched them play the Lions, and I get to watch the Cowboys after I, of course, watch them play the Raiders. So it was a primetime game, and I always watch those. Yay! More teams that I've watched too much of already. Let's see who Jared gets though.
Please, 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 please.
No!
Thank goodness.
I
Thank
really
goodness. It was
wanted you to get the
almost the
Steelers.
Steelers. Almost the Steelers. The Colts, they're going to play the Steelers again this week somehow.
No, they actually play the Chiefs, Jared. You get Colts at Chiefs. What a
That's actually
game.
a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Granted, I
Bro-
have Chiefs fatigue. I don't like watching the Chiefs either, but
Yeah.
um, I would say this is in terms of impact for the Chiefs, they fall to 5-6. It is tough sledding. I think if you're a team that is hitting 6+ losses, halfway through the schedule, it's really hard to make a meaningful run, especially with some of the AFC wildcard teams. Chargers are on bye, but Jags get a relative cupcake this week. So if the Jags can continue their momentum, which now they said that they won't, um, yeah, this could be a death nail game for the Chiefs, and the Colts will try to battle their way back into that one seed picture with the Patriots having established themselves. So this is a great game. I will not be
Who would have
watching it because I'll
thought
be watching the Lions, but I will watch it afterwards.
who would have thought that during the preseason, if you looked at the schedule and saw this game, it was like, will the Chiefs, survive their season against the mighty Colts in this keep their season alive, I guess I should say, against the mighty Colts this week.
Yeah. I think even with a loss, the Chiefs have a path. I just think, with every loss, the amount of misses you can have narrow. I think this is a great test for the Colts because the Chiefs are sort of the old guard of the AFC right now, and if you can knock them
Hmm.
off, you're announcing yourself this season as a true presence. So excited for that one.
Yeah. What else are you excited about for our Week 12 slate? Jared, who
I'm
gets
trying.
first picked of our primetime matchups here? Not primetime matchups, but just any matchups.
Not a
Our
great week.
pop predictors.
Ooh, I like that. Not a great week for this. There's one that feels a little too. There's a couple that feel a little obvious. I'll take. Steelers at Bears. The Bears have absolutely been rolling with these close wins, but the Steelers, I think, could be stiffer competition for them than maybe they've gotten some of these wins over. And um, I think this game is consequential because if the Bears keep racking up wins, that puts added pressure on the rest of the NFC North. And there's another NFC North matchup this week, so that feels especially prescient. And obviously, the Steelers battling to keep their heads on straight in their own division. So with their fellow division mates, the Ravens, playing a game that appears to favor the Ravens. This matters for both ball clubs here. Um, I think a win for the Bears puts them in the catbird seat to lock up a wild card or better. A win for the Steelers keeps them inching ahead of the Ravens and gives them that backdoor chance to hold on to the division if they can pull off some upsets against the Ravens later in the season.
For sure. Definitely an important matchup for both teams, especially with the QB question going in for the Steelers. I'm taking this game. It jumped off the page to me, and I was like, don't talk about it, please, please. I usually go in order. I'm not doing that this time. Panthers at 49ers,
Yep.
Monday Night Football. What an awesome game I think this could be. The Panthers clawing their way through the NFC right now. And the Buccaneers, another tough matchup this week for them. Is it possible that the Panthers can get near this division race, actually? Maybe. If not a wild card team at best. And of course, the 49ers right now looking like that third team in the NFC West. Despite their consecutive victories, I think people probably would say that the Rams and Seahawks are having more dominating seasons, I would imagine. So obviously, the 49ers are trying to kind of keep wild card relevance amid their many injuries dealt with all season very admirably, kind of powering through and stocking up win after win on a lot of teams that I think have had a fair shot to beat them. So I think this will be an exciting primetime matchup, and I wouldn't have thought that a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, certainly the Panthers have played well enough to make this one interesting. And I'll take the other shoe waiting to drop on Sunday Night Football. Buccaneers at Rams. Buccaneers suddenly have their division lead hanging in the balance as the Panthers continue to rack up wins and make this unexpectedly close. Meanwhile, Rams coming off of a crucial win in the NFC West race, facing a banged up Bucks team that could not pull it out against the Bills. Um, I think the Rams have looked really complete, and so I have some doubts about whether the Buccaneers can keep up. But the Buccaneers season might rely on them keeping up. I still think they ultimately will come out ahead of the Panthers in this division, but a loss for the Bucks, a win for the Panthers, and suddenly we are neck and neck headed into the home stretch. So really excited to see how this game sets it up. And in a week of some honestly pretty weak matchups across the board, just in terms of overall appeal, this is one where it's two teams with some personal intrigue that are worth watching.
Sure, totally agree there. Honestly, not another game that I'm like super excited about. I do think that Bills at Texans Thursday Night Football is simply worth mentioning because despite the Bills' 44 points against the Buccaneers, I do remember that they've lost to the 3-7 Falcons and they lost to the Dolphins, who have looked horrible for most of the season. And I think this Texans team, despite their injuries and offensive malaise we've talked about all season, are better than both of those teams that the Bills have lost to. So, how do they come into this primetime game after a huge win against potentially a backup quarterback? Though it does seem like CJ Stroud has a good shot of recovering from that concussion for this game.
Actually,
Um,
CJ Stroud will be out for this game with his
oh,
concussion.
really?
Yes.
Um, was that like recently announced? I feel like I was looking at this not long ago, but
7 hours ago, it looks like. But
it's a busy day. It's a busy day.
no, hey, you're at
Um,
work. No, sorry, I that came off as me shaming you. I shouldn't have
no, no,
dropped the
no.
hammer there.
That's
But
no. I was more shaming myself for inaccurately reporting.
no. It is a Thursday game, so he kind of doesn't have as much turnaround. I wonder if that's part of
Right.
it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
So can they hold their own as a team that should be dominant when we have seen multiple times this season uh falling to ultimately subpar competition?
this feels like one of those games that we all as fans think will be a potential upset watch, and so the Bills will win by 30. That's kind of my read on this one. Is I agree. I think in another world, the Texans absolutely could like make the Bills sweat and steal this game, but because I think that could happen, I'm worried it won't. But you never know. It's going to end up being a Thursday night one to remember for two teams that still have questions to answer about whether their status is warranted.
Yeah.
And that
Do
was
you
the
have
last
anything
one that was even
else?
close to my radar, by the way. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was it. Um,
All right. It's time for the one-liner segment. I was trying to think of another segment name and I couldn't do it. Um, I really like alliteration, so I wanted to start it with an O, but I couldn't think of an O word that made sense.
yeah, the no, I don't have it.
The overdramatic one-liners.
Yeah.
Oh,
The no, I don't have it one-liner segment where we try to be funny and often miss. Also,
excellent. I
excellent. I often miss anyway. Your hit rate is higher than mine.
don't know.
Uh,
I don't know where that comes from, but sure.
uh, well, I just felt like I was insulting you indirectly, and that wasn't my intent.
Mm,
I was trying to put the blame on myself, punch
I
down.
understand it now.
Um, okay. Would you like to take the first one or shall I?
Hold on, I'm calculating.
Is there one you're looking for in particular?
Yes. You take the first one, please.
Um, Seahawks, Titans. In the Warren Moon Bowl, the Titans would be over the moon to score double-digit points.
Warren Moon play for the Seahawks?
I feel like that's true. If it isn't, I'm going to feel like an absolute idiot.
I really
Um,
only knew him for the Titans, so I
I feel
was,
like
yeah.
I swear he played in Seattle, but or
I'm not saying you're incorrect. I just didn't know.
I do have bad news. I am for sure incorrect. Well, wait. No, he did. He did. He played for the Oilers, and then he had two
Yeah.
years with Seattle. Let's go.
Wow. Ball nowhere.
Yeah, it said unfortunately majority of the season. Also, he was playing in the CFL from '78, so he basically had like a 22-year uh career. Yeah. Uh,
What a guy.
anyway, yeah. So
I like
there
when
you
our
go.
one-liners devolve into like paragraphs. It's
Yeah.
good. It's funny. It's part of the bit, I think.
Explaining the joke is great. Now you know Warren Moon played for the Seahawks in the late '90s. Um,
Right.
all right.
Um, Vikings at Packers. Division bout. The Packers play down to their competition again, but escape with a safety on JJ McCarthy in overtime.
Ooh, that'd be a fun one.
That would be insane.
Um,
That would be such an insane result to occur.
yeah, here I've got a killer one up next here.
Awesome.
The most overused joke for the Ravens, but I'm giving it a spin. Jets at Ravens. Quoth the Aaron, nevermore shall Justin Fields start for us. As Tyrod Taylor leads the Jets to a very close defeat.
There you go. That's good. That's ooh, that is good. Giants at Lions. The Lions can score 9 points. The Lions can score 40 points. The Giants will score three.
Nice. Um, I've got a great one for this next one. I'm very pleased.
Awesome.
Pa- Patriots, Bengals. Man, will the Bengals even be in spitting distance for this game?
Oh, that's really good. Um, that's great. This is the one I was thinking of earlier, that I wanted. Browns at Raiders. Myles Garrett becomes the first player in NFL history to accumulate an amount of sacks that matches his jersey number with 95 sacks during this game.
All right. I've got one here. Jags at Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett will have thought he saw a putty tat, but it will actually be Jaguars' all-time sack leader Josh Hines Allen securing a surprisingly comfortable win for an up and down Jags team.
There you go.
Shout out to Heed the call for that stat. I did not realize he'd taken the lead, but they're a young
Yeah, that's
team,
huge.
franchise wise, so good for him.
Yeah. Falcons, Saints. Tyler Shuck is older than Kirk Cousins?
That is a good. Was that the one you were lining up for?
No, it was the Browns Raiders one. That was the
That's a
Myles
great one
Garrett
too.
one is the one that I really liked.
The 95 one is great. I actually think that because Kirk Cousins has such an old energy too. Um, yeah. Seeing them, they really both have mow the lawn energy. I love that. Side note, I think the Saints winning that would make their season a success because it would embarrass the Falcons so hard, um, and give them, I think, the same record.
Remember when
So,
the Falcons beat the Bills?
uh, I do. I remember watching that in real time and thinking, wow, the Falcons have the blueprint to be a winning team, and then they accidentally threw the blueprint away.
Here they are at 3-7.
Here
What?
they are at 3-7. Um, Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 17. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, engage, comment, go through our old shorts and like them and enjoy them. If you don't enjoy them, we'll know, even if you like the videos. So, um,
Ethically.
ethically savor our content. And I'm excited for this week just because I think there could be a few good, bad games. There's some truly like two bad team matchups, and that's got me excited, as well
Hmm.
as some legitimate heavy hitters in the prime time spots. Speaking of heavy hitters, hoping I don't doink, but it's time for me to take my field goal. Do you have a suggestion for what field goal from this week I should emulate, Damon?
I feel like there were a couple of games that just had extreme wind, and I watched the kick, and it was just like flew like amazingly to the side. I feel like we got to try to somehow replicate that.
So I got a kick to the side. Okay, here I'll.
Yeah. Oh, excellent, excellent. I could hear it. I could hear it. They could hear it. Don't worry.
Can they actually? I feel like that'd be terrible if you're driving. I don't want to hear
Just do
that.
that the whole time while
Here, I
you're
can I
trying
can
to
I can do a
kick.
relatively convincing.
Oh, no, that's not the wind outside your car.
All right, lining up for the kick. Kick is up.
I didn't even see it.
I don't think it got off the table.
Wait, was it a bad snap? What happened?
Um, it was a bad snap, but it was roughing the snapper, so I get a second try
Oh,
here.
roughing this. It was yeah, somebody had this penalty. It
It was
was
the Titans.
Calais Campbell had a penalty for the Cardinals against the 49ers where it was like something about defenseless player or something because he like put his arm on the the long snapper's shoulder.
Yeah, so I get a second try to miss this one wide left visibly.
There you go. Now that's epic.
All right, here we go. Kick is up.
Oh, and that one sailed way off to the side. That wind was blowing quite hard. Would you please, the wind? Can we get a wind sound? I didn't hear that one at all. Anyway, I think you're too off to the side. You were more like this. There it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard that one. Oh, that wind was a blowing, that storm's a brewing, and that kick was no good.